Perfect. So, what have I learned about facilitating dialogue so far? And what would I like to know more about? Well, first of all, I'd like to say I apologize for being late. Um, so that's that. But what I've learned so far about dialogue is that people don't know how to dialogue. That's step number one. In my dialogue today, we had an older gentleman who was actually a dialogue facilitator in the army and the military. Um, and by having him there, I felt like I learned. Not to say that I've learned more from him than I've ever learned in a dialogue setting, but he definitely taught me a lot in which how to act and how to really be a true facilitator, which I thought was pretty amazing and a complete blessing to just happen randomly. Um, like I said, I felt like for the most part during the dialogue, I could sit back and feel as if I was a participant as opposed to actually being a dialogue facilitator myself, which is pretty cool. Um, So what I can say I've learned from his experience and what he demonstrated today was that the more you demonstrate, the more you suggest, the more you give, the more vulnerable you are, the more you are real with your audience, the more they decide to do the same thing. Um, he gave a lot of experiences, and every time he gave an experience or an example, it seemed as if somebody else was very willing to do the same thing. And I mean, it seems pretty straightforward that anybody would do that. But he just really made it engaging. And once again, it seems as if that should have been Jenna's and I's job. And even though we did a good job of it, he's more experienced. He's an older gentleman. He's been doing it for years. So I mean, kudos to him, I guess, in a way. Um, but I definitely feel like we both took a lot out of it. Um, I could definitely say I learned that demonstrating your own personal experiences, real experiences that really matter and really touch home, um, are important as opposed to just the small things. We've all experienced small issues, but when you really experience something deep, which I feel like the majority of us have, and then you share that, I feel like it makes a bigger impact on on the setting, and it allows people to really want to do the same thing. Especially if you can say it in not a condescending tone or say it in not a tone that necessarily makes anybody feel guilty. And still say it with a smile. Still be engaging, still be, focused, um, and still be, the known person that you are without really breaking down. I feel like that makes people feel a lot more comfortable as far as not only, participating but not feeling guilty, especially if you identify with that target group, um, such as myself in the race dialogue that we have, and such as the gentleman who presented today. Um, so that's definitely something I can say. What I expect to learn the most, I guess, or what I'm looking forward to learning, what I want to know more about. Um, I can't remember the question I wrote down as far as what we did last class, so not this class, but last week. Um, I can't remember my question, but I really would, I guess, like to know, um, do students know the real reason they're in dialogue, and is it possible to focus on that? Is it possible to focus on them actually understanding what it is that they're sitting down getting themselves into? Um, Even if it was like a brief tutorial, maybe like a 3-minute video of what it was they were actually going to get themselves into when they sit down in that room, just so that they can come with no preconceived notions, or that they can come with a clear idea of what it is they're going to do, and be willing to participate and be ready to participate because it'll already be ingrained in them. um, we've all had real conversations. I feel like we've all sat down and just been 100% honest with somebody, whether it's a friend, a loved one, somebody very, relevant to us. Um, we just have to learn how to do that on a larger setting with people we don't know. And that's hard. That's a lot to ask for. It's a lot to ask for at 9 o'clock in the morning. It's a lot to ask for at 11 o'clock. It's a lot to ask for at 7 o'clock in the night for those who sadly have those dialogues. Um, It's a lot. So I think by understanding that, by really just getting people out of their shells, it, it makes for I guess, a better conversation. It makes for a better dialogue. Um, and that's what we're here for. So my biggest thing, I guess, what I really do want to know is how can we get people out of their shells faster, so that once we actually get into dialogue, that real dialogue can be achieved. Because that's something that we really ran into a lot. Today we really got into dialogue, and we were dialoguing about dialogue, and then we got into our actual dialogue on race. And by the time we got into that, we didn't have enough time to fully finish because we were just having such great conversation or dialogue. I know I said that like 7 times, but we were just having such a great dialogue that it was we couldn't even finish the entire thing. So if there was a possible way, what I would really love to know, really love to figure out, is if it's possible to really tap into people's, I guess, vulnerability or dialogue mentality early, so that that hour period of time that we take to really do that could be cut down to maybe 45 or 30 minutes, and then an hour and 30 to an hour and 25 or 15 minutes could be fully focused on actually dialoguing about the subject. But that's something I'd like to know more about, do a little study on, I guess, outside of what we're already been planning on. So that's what I got. All right.